All right. Hey, everyone. So today we're speaking with one of our very successful clients, Carl. He's joining us to talk about how he's taking his business to the next level. So thanks for coming on, Carl.
Yeah,
And
no worries. Thank you for having me.
nice one, man. So tell us a little bit about yourself, your business, and what you do.
My business is a construction business. We're based in Luton, Bedfordshire. A lot of our work is generally in the Hertfordshire area. So our key focus areas have been Harpenden, St Albans, Wheat Hampstead. But we've been fortunate to have a school project on for the majority of last year, which is in Harrow. And our business turned 3 as well in December, which was a good milestone for us. And we've got a core team on site of 5. So we've got 2 apprentices, we've got 2 working foremen, 1 carpenter, and then there's myself who does a hybrid work, so I can work from site or I can work from home, which is the majority of the time where I do.
Yeah,
And then
man.
my
Brilliant.
wife as well, she works part time. So 7 in total.
So what were, some of the challenges that you had prior to joining our program?
So when at the point that you guys started with us, I wasn't in a very good place mentally because I started the business with a partner, and at that point in time, I actually took the business over from him because it just wasn't working out particularly well with him. Financially, we were in quite a worrying state. There was a lot of debt, and it just got the reason of going into business wasn't to create debt; it was to create, opportunities and be better off as a person, and as a business offering, better business service than those that are around us. So yeah, I wasn't in a particularly great place when we first started, to be honest with you. But coming on board, um, it took a considerable amount of time to actually come on board with yourself, didn't it? Really, it wasn't a
Yeah,
very.
yeah. Actually, that's a really good point. Why did you choose to come on board with the program versus, any other program?
Yeah, I mean, it took a good. I think when we first started talking, it was probably about 6 months before I finally come on board with yourself. There was just a lot of hesitance and thinking. My initial thinking was that I probably didn't need help. Arrogantly, you know, I can do this on my own, and almost looking at it as by using yourself, a coach. It was actually a weak point. There's actually giving into something. Going, oh, I do need help, sort of thing. But I kind of it slowly took some talking to yourself and actually just thinking about why I went into business. But the reality was going into business and knowing what business do or how to run a business are 2 different things.
Yeah,
No one knows everything, and I think you've just got to be open to learning and uh, using people's experience to actually make yourself better. And that's what
definitely.
life is, isn't it? It's about learning and listening and being open. I think if you don't do that, you'll stand still. So it was, a step forward in the right direction. I kind of looked at for the first initial stages of I'm going to college. I'm going to have someone just guide me and help me. And once I changed the mindset of that, that's actually when I became a bit more open
That's
to it,
that's
receptive.
fantastic, man. That's brilliant because I'd say a lot of people have that, belief about, it was like, you should be able to do this on your own, you should be able to figure this out. But yeah, it's not the case. And ultimately, I think most successful people will tell you exactly who's helped them to get to where they want, like nobody does it on their own. So yeah, there's definitely a very important point there. So was there anything in particular, actually, before that question, I know you were talking to another coach or you even paid the person, I
Yeah,
think.
we did. Yeah, yeah,
And
we
then,
did.
so what,
Yeah.
what happened there before, coming to us?
So there was you get a lot of advertisement on social media, and it picks up on, what your trends are, and it will send you stuff that, you need to sort of buy, basically. And one of them was a construction coach, and he just came across very well, presented himself and articulate himself very well. And I did actually sign up to his, coaching. But when I actually signed up to his coaching, the way he got me to sign into it, it was only in the aftermath that I actually realized, actually, you've almost kind of been conned into doing it, because it was like he told you what he can do. He told you how to do it and why you should do it and where he could potentially get you to. But then he wanted a decision made there and then before offering what the actual costs were.
Yeah.
You got the costs after the decision was made.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And, it was only when I rang up one of my best friends who does, it's a very similar thing to myself with you. He was just like, that is 3 times the price of what, I'm paying. And mine's a bit more user friendly. He said, you should consider that. Just, think about what you're doing. And it was just an automatic, just the gut went in my stomach, that sort of sick feeling of what have I done? Yeah. And it was the tying in process. So, for example, you got the first 3 months without any guarantee, without you having to sign to a guarantee. But after that first 3 months, you were signed into a 12-month contract.
Right.
So that was a really sort of scary aspect to be in, where I could potentially be signing into something. And what if it doesn't actually work? I'm then forced to do it. And that would just be a mental negative, really.
Yeah.
So it just did it was just not,
yeah. Lots of red flags.
Yeah, huge red flags. Yeah.
So was there, coming back to what you've been doing with us, was there anything in particular about our program that's really helped you?
I mean, there's been lots. I like going to the Grove Club, because you're all in the same position, same area of slightly unknown, but you're all in a business. Potentially, some people could be further forward in their business career, some just starting, as we just there was lots of new faces at the last one, for example. So I almost felt like a bit of a veteran being there, and I've only been with you for just shy of a year now.
Yeah.
So I like the Grove Clubs and the sort of the interactions, and actually, taking those, what are ideas, and putting it down into pen and paper and creating that bullet point actions to get to where we need to, and not even long term. It's focused on that short term, the 90, because the 90 days creates the longer plan over a period of time.
Yeah.
And also, I think it was the initial onboarding as well, which I quite enjoyed. It was the sort of, I came to you, we sat down, you were asking me the questions of where we want to be, who's it with, try and drawing out the visual.
Yeah.
So that then come away and then come back to me and say, well, this is your action plan.
Brilliant. Yeah. So definitely, like the planning, I think, helps quite a lot of people, because things are just kind of whirring around in their heads a lot, and it's a hard place to store a lot of information, right?
But it continues to whirl around, doesn't it? Unless you get it out. They're just ideas, and they can get, like you said, they get lost, and they don't get
very
articulated,
easily
translated,
or actioned on or done, right?
Action, exactly.
Yeah, because that's where the real results kick in. So that's definitely one thing or two things there. The initial goal setting, and then the 90-day planning. Anything else that you've just like one more thing, just make it a nice odd number. 3.
Yeah, I mean, 3 is the magic number, isn't it? But we try and always have a call on a Friday, don't we?
Yeah.
How's the week been? What was the successes, small wins and stuff like that. And it's not even like a formal thing to do, like put this in writing. It's just to sort of keep those your small wins this week.
Yeah.
Because you probably don't reflect on it enough, really, in hindsight. Every time you just sort of constantly going. So
yeah,
it's good just to have those little chats, I think, as well, just to almost keep you on track, but in a loose manner.
Yeah. And so as a result of, implementing the program and going through the program and going through the steps, what's been some of those bigger wins that you've had, like, or bigger results or outcomes that you've had?
I suppose something even like in the past year, we could look at where we were as a business, for example, before you come on board, and because we've created a plan, we have seen our work was generally referrals from projects that we were on.
Mm.
The referrals now are really business to business referrals, which we never had before.
Yeah.
A lot of it was business to consumer, you
Mhm.
know, whereas we've now got, and with no pipeline, I should mention as well, that, it was just kind of sort of firefighting,
Yeah.
we'd be potentially, in with a chance of securing a job, and we'd find a way of securing it, very sort of hastily, and we get that and just go straight onto it. And there's no plan in place really. So there's a lot of reactive actions to sort of create that, turnover effectively. But now we're planning turnover, so we've gone from business to consumer to really some business to business referrals, from architects. So we've got a plan in place to secure those, and how we go about getting more new referrals coming into the business and generating new, contacts basically.
Yeah.
Financially, we're in the best position we've ever been. We've got money in the bank, which before was non-existent. We've paid debt off. We've invested back into the business with, new vehicles. We've taken people on as well.
Yeah. Team's grown. Yeah.
Our team's grown,
Yeah.
which I can't forget. When you came on board, we probably had one apprentice, two site workers. Well, this last 2023 has seen us take. So we've got now two. Going back to what I was saying earlier, we've got two apprentices, 3 site team. My wife working for me part time. We've now appointed a contract manager who starts with us on the 5th of February. We're looking to take on an estimator. So our team has actually grown by sort of 60% and looking to grow, up to that 80%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then obviously the turnover is last year was the same, but it was profitable work.
Yeah.
We've generated more profit and it's stayed in the business. So this year is just stepping up a little bit more just to generate a bit more profit. Turnovers is, not really important, but making sure we remain a profitable business is the key thing for us, which is where we were when you came on board.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, definitely lots of those little wins that adding up to lots of big wins. And so,
yeah, absolutely.
Looking into the future, what are you most excited about?
I think so last year we got an accreditation for the business, which allows us to install a very unique type of building from Germany, a methodology. And we've secured a very small project last week, which is in that methodology, but it's actually then taking it up to the next level and building one of these bespoke houses, which is having that methodology, because there's very few contractors in the country, that can do that. So it's almost creating our niche heaven where we don't have much competition. And it's just making us a bit of a disruptor, if anything, within the industry. And it's going to be, you'll find that the industry will follow that in the next 5 years because of the way the climate change is going, but we'll be 5 years ahead of everyone else.
There you go. Yeah, no, definitely very exciting time. So
it's really exciting.
Anyone watching at the moment that was like on the fence about, booking a call to speak to us about joining the program, what would you say to them?
Yeah, I'd certainly just, stay open. Ask yourself some, not so much deep questions, but just questions of where do you want to be and how are you going to achieve it? And if you don't really have those answers, then it's worth having someone on board like yourself to actually draw that out and help map it out. You know, people need to realize it's not you doing the work. You're just trying to draw out the best performance of that person to do that.
That's it. Yeah.
And I think that was one of the things that I was probably receptive to. I
Mm.
thought I'd be giving in to someone else doing it, but you're not doing that. You're just trying to actually make that person perform better, aren't you?
Exactly that. That's it. It's just all about that performance. You know, I know you like Formula One. You know, it's just like Verstappen's coaches, right? It's like they're not in the car driving with him.
No,
You know, they're working with him on the side and getting the most performance. So when it's game day, you know, he can perform at
he's
his
on his
max.
own. Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. And then so also, you know, because I think a lot of people, as well as being unsure or uncertain about something new like coaching, you know, what would you say to somebody who's having doubts about themselves or their business? You know, maybe they've tried to grow it in the past and it hasn't worked. What would you say to somebody like that in regards to coaching?
I suppose the question would be, you know, you've got to look at why something's not working. So if they've been in a business for however long, just ask yourself why you're not where you probably had a vision for it to be. Just ask some, you know, real basic questions. Did I have X in place? Did I have this in place? Did I have the vision in place to actually realize where I wanted to be? And if, you know, some of those answers come out and they're all clearly no, and you know the business hasn't been successful for whatever reason, you know, look at coaching, because it's not just, if you've got a vision, you've got to follow it through, haven't you?
Yeah.
You know, and having that vision is the start. You know, get someone on board, because it's a talking thing, isn't it? Sometimes talking through those things actually helps
Yeah.
bring that realization.
Very underrated is, you know, talking. And I guess it's
It's a lonely
with the
place
right person.
sometimes, isn't it?
Exactly.
Running a
You know,
business can be a lonely place, and I think you've got to make sure that you may do the opposite. Make sure it's not a lonely place.
that's it.
Talk, be with people to help you actually get to where you are, because, you know, we're all still learning. But if you look at some of the best businesses in the world, they weren't necessarily the best people,
No.
but they knew what person to employ to help them get to where they were.
Exactly. That's it. Business is a team sport. You know, it's just like it's not all about just the guy at the front. It's literally, you know, Steve Jobs has Steve Wozniak. Bill Gates,
Yeah.
I always forget his number two's name, but it's like it's
Paul
always
Allen.
Paul Allen. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's just always about building that team and bringing people around you that can draw the performance out of you or fill in the gaps where you're not as strong.
That was probably one of my pitfalls as well, thinking I could do everything.
Yeah.
And
It's
that's
so
probably
common.
what it's so I should imagine it is for any business owner. They think they can do it all. And that's probably where that's probably one of the reasons why they don't grow as a business, because they don't relinquish that to another person. They don't delegate very well. And that comes back to sort of just
and that confidence is great to get you started and it will get you up to a certain level, but then that same confidence becomes a weakness to get in terms of getting you to the next level, right? And so it's definitely exciting times ahead. I'm looking forward to
100%.
you know, in its final form. Who knows?
That's it. Yeah.
So man, thanks for coming on. Thanks for doing the call. Good to talk as always.
Thanks for having me, mate.
So
All
speak
right.
to you soon.
Cheers, dude.